Elyce again. Welcome back. We're talking about boundaries, and we've covered physical boundaries and emotional boundaries to a small degree. And now we're going to look at mental boundaries. And so this is probably one of the toughest things for people to understand. Okay. So let me ask you a question. Have you ever had a thought that just wouldn't go away? Like you went to bed thinking about it, and when you woke up, you were still thinking about it. Okay, that's the mental plane. And so, first of all, I want to talk about what is a thought. And you probably already know the answer, but it's energy. Thoughts are energy, and they're thrust into our external world. So everything we think is right there. That's why we laugh about how would you like everybody to be able to read your thoughts? No, because our thoughts are not always good. So let's talk about the mind and what it is, and the mind that creates thoughts. And there's two different kinds of mind. Okay. There is the human mind, which is the brain, and that is simply a computer. It's not conscious. It's garbage in, garbage out. And it simply operates like a computer based on your experience. Okay. And all of that gets stuffed into our brains and it's saved in there like a filing cabinet. And anytime we ask ourselves a question in our human self, in our human mental plane, the answers that we get from that human mental plane will be regurgitated through the filter of the brain with all that we have learned so far. Now, the problem with that is that number one, we may not have a lot of experience, right? So our mind is going to throw out just what we know, which might be very limited. Or we have lots of experience, but maybe it's negative. All right. And so it creates fear. It creates a recurrence of maybe a trauma. And so the brain itself is not where we want to be in our thoughts. Now, we can't stop our thoughts. That's just the mind is going to work as it does. But the higher mind, okay, is the God mind. And that is connected through our heart and it's connected to the entire universe. All right. That is the all knowing, true mind within each and every one of us. Now, it may be active with you or it may not be because you do have to you do have to activate that God mind within you. Okay. And if you need help to do that, contact me and I will help you do that. The God mind brings in our higher self and the angels, guides, and masters of the universe to give us answers from the divine. Okay. That is a higher perception than our human mind or what we call ego mind, which is just the brain. And when I say ego mind, I don't mean ego like arrogance. When we talk about the ego mind or the monkey brain, some people call it, it's simply the inner child. Think about it as your inner child. It was what kept you alive when you were young. It's forged its way through trauma and stress and told you how to act and what to think so that you could survive. And we can be very grateful for that inner child and egoic mind. Otherwise, we wouldn't survive. And that's how we create our egos. And our ego structure in human development is very important, particularly those first 7 years of life. That's how we navigate our reality. Okay. So now that we know thoughts are just energy, nothing more. the brain, the human brain is the human mind, and that is egoic. And oftentimes it is our inner child. Another word for that would be our subconscious mind in the lower planes, okay, that has not yet been activated by the God mind. So now, it sounds like I'm teaching and I don't mean to, so I'm going to give you some examples here of the difference. When I was a tiny baby, and this has all been confirmed with family, by the way, when I was a tiny baby, my mom had 5 children. I was the baby. And so my mom very rarely got to go out with anyone. For her to be invited somewhere was a real treat because she was always home taking care of kids. So the neighbor invited my mom out to a movie. And that was like a special treat. So she told my father, you have to come home and you have to babysit so I can do this because I have never been invited out like that before and I want to go. So my father said yes. And my mother took off with her friend to go enjoy an evening out to see a movie. Now, I was about 8 months old. I was a tiny infant. And I told you before, my dad was an alcoholic. And my dad, when he was really on a bender, my dad was oblivious. Okay. That night, my dad decided he would start drinking. And for him, pouring down a fifth was nothing. All right. He drank until he put the other kids to bed and he had to take care of me, the baby. And he took me, and instead of putting me in my bassinet, he put me in a box and then he passed out. And in that box, the flaps closed down over me. And that little baby felt like she was going to die. And she felt like she had been thrown out with the trash. And she fought everything trying to get out of the box. And she screamed and she cried. And it was a horrible state for this little baby, which was me. And my dad was too drunk to wake up. The other kids didn't hear me. And I cried until I was like a limp rag. And when my mom came home, she found me soaking wet from tears and screaming. And she grabbed me and lifted me up and, of course, comforted me. But at the same time, turned to my dad and started yelling and screaming while she was holding me. So I had a double whammy. First, I felt like I was thrown out with the garbage, like I was worthless, right? Then my mom starts with the anger, and that just catapulted and added to the feelings of worthlessness. Now, let's analyze this. Those were all that baby's thoughts. Those were all inside my little pea brain at 8 months old. And while it sounds like it was just a baby crying, what happened was in our struggle to survive, that baby created a story. Now, had her father thrown her out with the trash? No. Her father was extremely irresponsible in his babysitting duties. And he did put her away for the night. He just put her in the wrong place. And he did so because he was under the influence of alcohol. Now, did he mean to? No. My father was a very kind man. He didn't do things like that to his children. He loved his children dearly, and he loved me. But when that baby was all alone and she was squeezed in a box and she was fighting for her life to get out and for someone to come rescue her, when that didn't happen, she made up the story in her mind, I'm worthless. Nobody wants me. Nobody will rescue me. And she felt all the darkness, all the demons, everything you can think of around her. And she was in total fear, total black, dark fear. that impression left a mark on me for life. And it wasn't until I didn't even learn of this story until I started doing deep spiritual work and went into a regression state to find what had happened, why I was, number one, claustrophobic. And that's why I went into the understanding of my claustrophobia. It was from that experience at 8 months old in this box where I was terrified and no one came to help me. Now, none of that was truth. That was the story my human mind made up as a reason for what I was going through. And the reason I talk to you about that today is we all make up stories. It doesn't mean they're true, but they are real, and you feel them and you experience them. And so our goal is to look at those thoughts, that energy, look at the emotions that are attached to that thought, and then become aware of why we have these recurring thoughts of, I'm worthless. I should be thrown out with the garbage. Nobody will love me if I stand up for myself. I have to be perfect or I'll never make it in life. Nobody loves me. I'm ugly. That's why I got thrown out. What are some others? Oh, I'm stupid, right? I have no power. I'm a victim. All of those come from these traumas or experiences. Yes, but it's the story that our human mind makes up that creates the damage. All right. And when you unwind the story and look at it objectively, you find out it's not even true. Okay. And then you can start clearing that old embodied belief system that you're not worthy, that you're ugly, that you're stupid, that you're not powerful, that you have no power, and that you're a victim. All of that is a lie. Now, I find it very interesting that in the Bible, in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, there is a verse that says, take every thought captive, okay, to honor Christ. It's not just to honor Christ, it's to also honor you. Take every thought captive and know that you are connected to the God of everything. That's who you are. That's your heart mind. So take this brain computer, ego mind, inner child, and look at your higher mind, or your heart mind, or your God mind. And when you look through that lens, you understand the story that this brain made up because of its experience. And once you become aware of the experience and the story that was made up, you're able to go beyond it. Now, I've spent many years helping people get rid of their blocks, overcome feelings of worthlessness and pain and stupidity and fear. Listen, I had every fear there was. I'm still clearing fear. I think fear and the devil are the same. All right. So if you don't believe in the devil, you can believe fear because it's one and the same. It's incessant in our lives. Every day we have millions of thoughts. Every day. And we make choices about those. We make stories about those. We wrap our brain around that and then make up all kinds of stuff. It was interesting. I watched this series once about the human mind and our childhoods. And it was like 95 to 99% of what we remember in our childhoods is incorrect. It's all stuff we filled in the blank. We filled in the blanks with stories. Okay. And when we look at that, we go, oh, okay. The goal then is to open the God mind, access to the highest form of who we are and the truth. The God mind is the truth. All right. And it goes beyond story. And so when you match your human mind and emotion, you can really get in a mess. So you have to drop it down. And of course, the biggest distance is from here to the heart space. But if you believe, and if you don't, that's okay. But I believe in ontological coaching, which is coaching from the sense of everyone creates their own reality. Now, you can believe that or not, and that's okay. But even as a coach, I know that even people that don't believe that, if they start to practice life as if it were that way, as if it were true that we create our own reality, everything starts to change because it pulls you out of story, it pulls you out of victimhood, and it pulls you out of fear and gives you back your power. So, next time you have a thought that is, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, none of this matters, I don't know why I'm still alive, I'll never succeed, I'll never have enough money, I'll never have enough XYZ. Next time you have one of those thoughts, stop, take a deep breath, pull your energy out of your mind and your story down to your heart center, and simply open up and say, I see what I'm doing. Show me a better way. Help me let go of this thought because it's not me that's stupid. It's the thought that's stupid. I am gorgeous. I am smart. It's just like that movie where the maid is teaching the little girl, I am smart, I'm beautiful, all of those things, right? We have to tell ourselves that. We have to affirm the truth of who we are. I am a God being. I have the light of God within me. I have my heart space wide open to receive more and more light. That's all it is. And I recognize I'm human and I make mistakes, and it's okay. It's okay. All right. If you need help, I'm happy to help. Simply email me at elyce@elycemonet.com and we'll have a chance to chat. And also, when you get a chance, make sure you subscribe to this channel and to the network. We're running a special now on New Vibe TV where you get the entire network for $7.99 a month. And we'll lock that price in for you for 3 full years. So please join. And I will continue to put out these messages, and I hope they've helped you. It's what I call embodied wisdom from all of the hard knocks in the life of Elyce. Okay. Thank you. Godspeed. Enjoy your day.